Whenever I play The Outer Worlds, I think of how much of a great time I'm going to have. But all that optimism changed when I decided to let myself have a free-thinking mind and gave myself the thought: can you beat The Outer Worlds with only a shovel? More specifically, a spade. So I started a new game on hard, because that's my difficulty setting in the real world. Maxed strength and charisma because I'm using a fucking children's-sized shovel and I need a crutch for my non-existent legs. My skills into melee and dialogue, and took the sub-sous chef to get my one-handed melee up. Made my character into my favorite Japanese manga protagonist, the blobfish, and gave myself a fitting name. Phineas commented on what a strong boy I am, which stands to reason because I always make sure to eat all my pizza slices with the shell on. Prevented Alex Hawthorne from killing himself by killing him. Easily convinced, wanted to die, and asked for my permission. I allowed her. Ada said words, put 1 point into melee and the rest into tech. Got the high maintenance perk because I knew that I would have to be constantly repairing my spade. Why I knew this is because I tried attempting this playthrough previously and got through Edgewater with 26 deaths to my name. So I made the decision to scrap that character entirely in place for this one. Found my new prized possession and took a few practice swings for the coming fights. Sold my junk but kept 3 orphan shovels so that they could be a part of my family. Reed was having the talk with Parvati. He offered me Parvati so that I could cut off power to some hobos, and I accepted. I should also mention it was at this point of the playthrough where I decided to side with the board. I gave Parvati one of my children to take care of, only allowed her to use melee weapons and set her to defensive, and made my way to the geothermal plant. I wanted to demonstrate my strengths against these sprats, and they did more damage than I expected, so I died. Tried to show those sprats who the apex predator is, and I killed them. However, my status of apex predator was not cemented because of this victory. I needed a human-sized prey and decided to 1v3 knives only these marauders. It was a hell of a fight, but in the end, I came out on top with more than half of my adreno times gone. Made it to the geothermal plant. I wanted to go through the front gate, but God, aka Mechanical, only allowed me to deal 8 damage towards him, so I decided to take a different approach and hop the gate into the plant. I wanted to test my luck against this Mechanical, but I was dealing less than depressive damage to it, so I decided to deal with the problem like I would any other, by running away and hiding so I could wait for the perfect time to strike. But boy oh boy was my hiding spot not as hidden as I thought it was, and try as I may, Parvati would not listen to my orders of attack, and she watched me die. I then decided that any Mechanical I would find would be spared of my rampage, because trying to kill one of those robot fucks is the equivalent of watching a 23-minute video, and nobody really wants to watch that. I heard Pussy Bitch Boy talking to a ghost. I told Pussy Bitch Boy not to talk to the demon in his head, and as a reward to me for curing him of his schizophrenia, he gave me his Wizard 101 account. I saw a fly on Pussy Bitch Boy of Cowardice and tried to kill it, but the Pussy Bitch Boy of Cowardice and Virginity wouldn't stop cowering and running in fear, which made me completely miss the fly, striking him on his off button. I logged into the mainframe and told all the Mechanicals to kill each other. Leveled up. Parvati wanted to talk about ethics, don't ask, I don't know what that means either. And I sent the power to Edgewater. Got the big Duracell battery. Told the deserters to return back to Edgewater. Told Reed about how strong I am and how much of a good worker I am. Sold my useless items. Left to the unreliable and allowed Parvati to get kidnapped by me. Put all of my energy into the gaping hole of my ship and left to the groundbreaker. Got gifted a Shroud subscription for 18 months. Let's go, poggers. Leveled up. I was told about a tire iron that was placed on my ship and could only be removed by a man named Udon some shit. Put on some actual armor. Left to go get the science hammer. Killed the bodyguards of Adore except for the robot slave because nobody should lay their hands on such a poor offensive unit. Got the science hammer. And found a claw rake. At this moment, I thought that I should just abandon this challenge and instead use a claw rake from here on out because I have never found one this early on in the game, but then decided that that is a challenge for another video. Sold the science hammer. Went to go turn in Phineas, but it turns out Udon has a higher priority to finding his butt plug than capturing the board's #1 criminal. Talked to Gladys so that she can become my pimp, and as her first job, she wanted me to go grab some packages in Roseway. Dumb hobo man wanted to get on my ship and I allowed him. I watched some guy mash the off button on his machine and landed in Roseway. Put Felix on melee and on defense along with giving Parvati and Felix perks. talk to asshole, then limp dick, and talk to scientist. What? I couldn't come up with another insult that his mother already hasn't called him. Jameson was being a bitch about being set free, so I tried to cripple him, but it turns out his knees were thicker than my skull, which made him harder to kill. But the beast was eventually slain. I set Cassandra free, then I tried to kill her, but she became a higher being and disappeared. Gave everyone their research and gained enough money to buy the board-certified butt plug. Gave the extremely used butt plug to the retard. I shouldn't have said retard. Now I'm gonna have to quit YouTube in 10 years when someone Twitter rants about me saying retard. Whatever. I made my way to Byzantium, and finally got the option to say ugly bastard to Sophia, and my life was almost complete. I say almost because I had to go get birthday money from some whore who thought they could skip out on Sophia's cryostasis party. Found the party pooper, but right before I could get Sophia's money, the assassin and I had a talk on who would kill her. We both agreed that assassination was not the way to handle things. Then I tried to assassinate the assassin, but his skull was too thick for me to implant my spade into him, and I died. Tried again, and killed him with a record time of 5 minutes. I was called a bad kitten for not doing what Master said, and as punishment, I was sent to go through an old man's computer. I impregnated Phineas's computer with the board's seed, and was punished further by having to go to Monarch. If my punishment wasn't excruciating enough, I had to listen to Graham bitch about how much of a bitch he is to take care of his people. Spoke to Sanjar about why his town is so shitty, and he asked me to go get the Bolt 52 cartridge. Got this keycard without any trouble at all, because Raptidons, being the bottom feeders that they are, can't open doors. Went to get the Bolt 52 cartridge, but stupid was in the way, so I had to kill him. Gave Sanjar his Hot Wheels quick draw pouch, and he asked me to find out if the board was putting chemicals in the water that made him gay. I leveled up, but I didn't know what to use the perk point on. I thought that the extra 25% damage on weak spots was going to be useless, because I'm using a midget shovel that does throughout a majority of this playthrough 8 to 25 damage. But as you and I are later to find out, this is the most useful perk that I could have ever taken. While on my way to the green marker on the minimap, I decided to take care of the Iconoclasts drunken father style. In all honesty, I felt bad for having to kill the Iconoclast, except for Graham, of course. But my opinion committed suicide when the fucking worthless walking commercial ad of a bitch decided to speak and poured 3 gallons of gas into the dimming flame inside of me. So as payback, I decided to kill her leaders so that she can become almost as useful as a minion-shaped water bottle. But first, I had to rescue a shovel living inside the vending machine. I could say that I killed off Graham and Zora in one single swoop, but you've already seen the other fights that I've been in, and this fight is like every other. I died as soon as the bitch boy decided to acknowledge my attempt at killing him with a spade. I decided to put the difficulty down to bitch mode, killed Graham and Zora, escaped from Amber Heights, and set the difficulty back to hard. Nothing mentionable happened after that, and I told Sanjar that the board was placing chemicals in the water that was making him gay. Turned on the power to the big microphone. I saw a shooting star and wished for myself to become that shooting star, but of course, my wish wasn't granted. I thought for a while if I should get the defensive unit for Sanjar, but then thought about the shit that's there and decided that it's not worth the effort, and entered the unreliable to go talk to Sophia. Master showed me her favorite YouTube video. I was surprised when the video she showed me wasn't a video about vaccines turning gay children retarded. Ah shit, I said retarded again. Sorry. This guard thought that they were tough shit and said that they could take me, and as it turns out, they could take me because of the fucking strap they pulled out when I hit them, and I unsurprisingly died. Landed on the Hope, which was a breeze to get through because of the biometric ID that I got earlier. Apart from these sprats because they were almost as strong as their brothers in Edgewater. I say almost because I was on the brink of death, but the little fucks couldn't finish the job. Told Ada to launch the Hope into the sun, but she completely missed, and we were sent to the Tartarus Fun Amusement Park for the criminally insane. Rockwell told me that Phineas had my master in a tickle torture device, and I just had to see her feet being tickled as she fought hard to resist laughing. The guard, being the gracious guard that he is, gave me a VIP ticket into Tartarus so I could watch the show. Bought all the adrenos I could, and I reached Phineas. Now this wouldn't be a can you beat video without the crutch that I've been working on being kicked out from under me while I'm on a tightrope 100 feet above a dull bed of rusted spikes, now would it? See, I was originally planning to get Phineas to kill himself with my maxed out speech skill, That's the sole reason why I had so much confidence in this video, and the reason why I even did this video in the first place, because you can completely bypass fighting the warden if you can convince Phineas to commit suicide. The only problem is that the option isn't coming up. At first I thought this was a bug, so I decided to reload a save and try again, but as it turns out, it's not a bug after reading the wiki, which means I have to go fight the warden, 1v1, winner takes the other's meat skin. I thought of just whacking the warden a few times and retreating back. But here's a fun fact about the warden. His max health is 22,785. And I do about as much damage as... You know what? I don't even know what to compare the amount of damage to. Because anything I say will deal miles above more damage than a fucking spade to a mechanical that has 22,000 health. Pile that on top of his hitbox being about as large as the fucking sun. And on top of that shit sandwich, the rotten cherry tomato on top is that the warden has stages and sends in flying mechanicals for every few quarters of health that it loses. But there's a few saving graces that I can use to my advantage, and that's the power of circling the warden and praying that the warden doesn't jump out of the way. Along with this, I have enough adrenal times to withstand enough punishment that it can make a sadist jealous. And having the 25% more damage to weak spots perk, which I thought was useless, and I was beginning to feel just a bit more confident. I also lowered the difficulty down to story mode, which gave the warden 8,575 health, which is not great, but is better than 22,000 health. I had a few close calls with death, but I managed to avoid them with the amount of adrenal times and other medicines that I got from mommy's desk, and I used the same strat that I used to court my first girlfriend, and wore it down till it decided to not want to live anymore. I whacked the shit out of that tough motherfucker for about 13 minutes. 13 whole minutes of pressing the same button. To put that into perspective, that's longer than this video. But it was all worth it, because as soon as the warden went down, I congratulated myself with victory squats of the highest grade. Digging my balls deep into the floor beneath me to show off that I am the true apex predator. There was just one more insect to execute. I turned the difficulty back to hard. And when that head of his exploded from his shoulders, I felt what I could only describe as relief. It was truly euphoric. I took a family photo to commemorate this victory, freed Sophia from her tickle torture chamber, and I beat the outer worlds with only a shovel. I mean a spade.